Mercer.
I'm Matt Pangrac.
Welcome to The Cull, a weekly sport fishing debate show. And this week we're taking a question from the viewers of The Cull. And a lot of them want to see this, Matt. They want to see unlimited horsepower on bass boats. You know, obviously you got to stay legal wherever that is in that particular boat, but they don't want to be restricted because in most tournaments, you can't fish with a motor over 250 horsepower. What say you? Unlimited horsepower. Keep our cull.
Boy, this is an interesting one, because you're not saying that you can strap a 350 on a boat that is rated for a 250. No. Let's say you've got like a Bass Cat Jaguar that you can go up to 350 on. If a guy wants to do that, he should be allowed to do it. It's well within the rules. There's nothing illegal that he's doing. He's not outmatching it. Why is it 250? Because at one point, wasn't it 150?
150
and 200 and 225 and now 250, but it seems to have stalled out at 250 for the motors for the longest time. I'm not really sure why that is.
Well, I think I have a good reason why it is. And it honestly, in my opinion, first of all, give me your answer. You keeping or culling?
I'm keeping unlimited horsepower. I'm culling stopping at 250 as long as it matches the vessel.
Of course, you got to keep the rules. I am so against that. To be totally honest, I think one of the biggest mistakes that's ever been made in the history of competitive tournaments is the move from 150 to 250. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my boat with a 250 horsepower. I love the performance. It is awesome. I mean, but once you make that step, you can't go back. And if you think about it, when it was 150, when 150 was the limit, and there was a time where most of the boats, even when they raised it, were still 150s, and you had a lot, these people started creeping in with the 250s, and then people felt like, well, I need to have a 250 horsepower. But if you look back in history, when they were running 150s, I mean, people think, oh, wow, the boats have got to get smaller. We can't go to big water. There were still people running 20 footers with 150s on them. They just went a little slower, but speed is one of those things that, I mean, remember when you first started driving? I mean, everything sent fast, but now you're flying down the road at 80 miles an hour and you don't even realize it. And it's the same thing in a bass boat. I feel like people have just raised their horsepower to keep up with everybody else because it's a competitive sport. But by raising the horsepower, people talk about pricing out of the sport. There's no bigger thing that prices people out of the sport than gasoline. And you burn a lot more gas on a 250 than you do a 150. But the problem is, like I said, you take that step to 250, the industry could never crawfish back out of that argument.
Here's the deal. This should be more a discussion of a speed limit than horsepower, because we're associating horsepower with speed. But there have been 90-mile-an-hour boats on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Everyone has access to a go-fast boat with a 250 horsepower. There are some boats that you could put a 225 or 200 on, set it up, and it runs 10 miles an hour faster than a boat with a 250 on it. So we're talking, and I understand the cost differential and the massive step in gas, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And where do you stop? But I think you could curtail that by then allowing guys who want to have a 350 on a boat that then increases their safety. It increases performance. It increases handling. It helps them in rough water. It gives them more power. It allows them to do more. But if you just put a speed limit on it, then let's say you put a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit or a 75-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now you're bringing everything back into play. And you can still have the bigger motor on it if you want for the performance for the low end to run a 22 or a 23-foot fiberglass bass boat. Now you're going to lose some stuff around the docks, but the question, it should have been speed limit, not horsepower, Dave. And no one talks about the speed limit.
Because I also think speed limit is tough to enforce. I mean, what are we going to have? Chris Bowes out there with the radar gun? You went over the, like,
you got a marshal.
Yeah, and marshals are going to be patrolling speed. I mean, I just think you're making rules for no rules. But I honestly believe if you talk to the bass boat Association of Bassboats, whatever it is, and you talked to them all and said, hey, if we could turn back time and go back to 150s, because think about it, the industry becomes more healthy then. Why? Because all of a sudden you have more money for baits, you have more money for rods, line, and all these things, all those graphs that people say you've priced me out of the game. If you just spent 100 horsepower less on gas, how much different would your budget be? But
I'm just saying that differential exists now with speed and bass boats. You have based on hull design, based on model, based on how you load it, based on the batteries that you have in it. You've got boats that are taken out in Bassmaster Elite Series tournaments with 66 mile an hour top speeds. And you have boats taken out in Bassmaster Elite Series tournaments in 85 mile an hour top speeds.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying that I'm keeping unlimited horsepower, because you're still going to have that differential. If you've got a guy that wants to represent a boat and motor company that is their top of the line, creme de la creme with a 350 on it, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's look at it from a different angle. It used to be 150. Now it's 250. And you're right. Boats do go different speeds. Some boats are faster than others. Some anglers could have the identical boat, identical rig. Some anglers put way more gear in and they're a little
drive
slower.
them better, have them set up better, just props, pitches.
How many 150s do you see at a bass tournament now?
Outside of the tournaments that are exclusively for 150s, which do exist, none.
So what's going to happen
at the top level?
when you make it unlimited? If everybody starts running 350s, within a year, it'll be 350s. And then you're going to have this massive backlog in the industry where people are trying to get rid of 250s because
I see it. And then when are you going to go to the tandem? Because look at the offshore game.
Oh,
you got 6 of them. You got 6 of them now, and it started with 5, and it started with 4, and it started with 3, and then it was holy cow, we got a tandem, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm not. I don't keep this with conviction, but I'll still keep it for the sake of the show, Dave.
I appreciate you taking this bullet for the show, Matt. The other thing is you think of the difference, like anybody that's driven a boat 70.
Yeah.
The difference between 70 and 78, it's not 8 miles. It is a world of difference all of a sudden. So you get boats that are all doing 80 plus. And we're going to have a lot of boats hooking and people. I also think it's crazy that people can just go buy a bass boat, not take a course or anything, and go blasting because it's kind of could be a bad tool. But anyways,
you're calling it. Yeah.
Culling unlimited horsepower. Let's stay at 250. We can't turn it back. I'd love to turn it back to 150, but we can't. So let's not make the same mistake twice.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, doesn't matter what we think. As always, it matters what you guys think. Let us know. Keep our Cull unlimited horsepower on Bass Boats.